Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out the Film Geek. Today I'm talking about the 2009 film, Push.
You don't understand.
You got that right.
This is about us finding $6 million. That's us. And that's our money.
And that's my toothbrush. You're a watcher.
So is there a place we can get something to eat besides chicken? I'm buying.
Push is directed by Paul McGuinness, and it's starring Chris Evans and Dakotah Fanning. Push is the story of two young Americans that possess psychic powers and must find a girl in Hong Kong before a secret government organization called the Division does. Push is a unique film because it's a superpowers movie, but it's not based off of any kind of licensed product. It's actually a very unique and original idea from Hollywood. The film focuses on psychic abilities that people gain because of government experiments. Each psychic has their own unique power and name. The movers move things with their minds, basically telekinesis. Pushers have the ability to push ideas into people's heads in order to control them. Watchers can see the future. Bleeders emit high-pitched screams that cause blood vessels to burst. Sniffs track people and objects by touch or smell. Shifters can trick people into believing an object is something it's not. Wipers have the ability to erase memories. Shadows can cloak themselves and others around them from other psychics. And Stitchers have the ability to heal or unheal people. In order to deal with the very unpredictable foot traffic in Hong Kong, the director decided to go with a much more guerrilla-style filming in this movie. In order to film the actors, they actually cut holes in the side of vans and filmed them unknowingly to the people around them. The actors had to get all of the street shots in one take in order for this to work. The choice to film in Hong Kong was inspired by the film Casablanca from 1942. You see, in the 1930s and 1940s, Casablanca was kind of a place for all scoundrels and people who just didn't want to be found. The filmmakers of Push felt that Hong Kong was the Casablanca of the 2000s. Push was released February 6, 2009, and it grossed just over $47 million on a $27 million budget. And then after DVD sales later that year, the film only topped out at about $65 million. The movie wasn't a complete flop, but the studio didn't feel it made enough money to continue the trilogy like they had originally planned. So what do I like about this movie? Well, as I said, this is based off of nothing. It's an original idea, and I like that about this movie. Now, there was a comic book series that's based off of this film. It's a prequel of the events that take place in this movie, but it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the film whatsoever. You don't have to read the comics in order to enjoy this film. This film's not based off of those. In fact, those comic prequels were published right around the time this movie was released. This is a good standalone film. Now, it was planned for a trilogy, but this movie does a good job of standing alone by itself. The film does have a vibe to it that it's going to be a lot more of them coming out because this film focuses very heavily on character development and world creation. Not enough that it's not a good standalone film, but this film really doesn't have as much action as you would expect from a movie about people with superpowers. It's actually a little bit more low-key, and it focuses more on the characters and story than it does on the powers themselves. The visuals in this film are also outstanding. There's very little CGI in this film, and most of it is done practical effects or effects in camera, which I really love. For instance, there's this really great scene in the film where Chris Evans and Dakotah Fanning are running through a fish market, and there's aquariums exploding everywhere around them. This was all done practical effects. These were real aquariums. Now, mind you, they were made of plastic, but they were real aquariums blowing up around them. And that really is Chris Evans and Dakotah Fanning. Those aren't stunt doubles. In fact, one of the tanks exploded just a little too soon, and old Dakotah Fanning took a little shrapnel. Now, as I said, this film does have a lot of world building into it, but it does it in a really good way. For instance, the very beginning of this film, while we're still watching the opening credits, it does a documentary kind of style, where it explains all of the different psychic powers. Okay, well, not all of the psychic powers, but explains enough of them and enough of the background of the world that you're about to jump into, so the film could focus on the characters and not have to focus so much about what happened in the past. So if you're curious and you want to check out Push, well, it's actually out there, pretty easy to find. To the best of my knowledge, it's streaming right now on the Peacock for free with commercials, or I'm guessing if you have the package, you don't have to watch commercials. And you can also rent it. You can find it on YouTube, Google Movies, Vudu, and of course, Amazon Prime. Okay guys, that brings us to the end of another Film Geek video. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notification, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. Another thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.